Hello, this is Michael A. Weiss, and welcome to the Medical Minute. Now, obviously the picture you're looking at is not me. It's of a beautiful and talented college student named Jennifer Wheeler. She's now about 22. But when she was 19, she and I struck up a virtual friendship over Twitter. I sort of had like a big brother type of relationship with her due to our age difference. And, she would confide in me about her frustrations with the illness. Now I'm going through a tough time with my Crohn's disease now, and it's very frustrating. And, while people mean well, I got a tweet the other night from someone who seemed to question the veracity of my symptoms. And it made me feel terrible when someone says, how could you have so many medical problems? How could chronic illness or Crohn's disease be this bad? I've never seen someone with so many medical problems. I mean, I wish that wasn't the case, but that is the case. So it reminded me of Jen's letter, because at the time, Jen was 19. She's very pretty. She's very talented. She's an artist. And, she was dating and came upon so many awkward social situations where people probably had the best of intentions when they inquired about her Crohn's disease and chronic illness, but it really upset her. So I told her from a therapeutic perspective that she should write an email to me, just get it all out on paper, because it would really help her, rather than get upset by it. And what resulted was this beautiful letter. Since I can't say it any better than Jen did, I thought the time was right to just read her letter as this episode. But keep in mind, this was a teenager sharing these insights, which I thought were extremely wise and prophetic about the future. Why is there so much ignorance surrounding Crohn's disease and chronic illness? Now, this is Michael Weiss talking. Keep in mind, I paraphrased a little bit, but these are all Jen's words, okay? This is Jen speaking. Last night, this guy said something really rude to me about how at least Crohn's wasn't contagious, and therefore when we hung out, he couldn't get sick. Well, I kindly informed him that we wouldn't be hanging out and how rude it was to say something like that when I have a chronic illness, not the flu. Jen then went on to use that experience to write this perspective that she takes as an open letter. So here goes. This is Jen speaking. This goes out to anyone who has Crohn's disease or chronic illness, to anyone who has heard that diet is the cure for your disease, to anyone who has ever been told by a friend, family member, or even by a doctor that you don't look sick. I guess not looking sick must be some sort of test, and thus looking good means that you are fine, right? It's to anyone who has ever heard the words, "Is that contagious?" or "I'm glad it's not contagious." It's to anyone who has ever had your personal medical history spouted off by strangers in public discussing you as if you weren't even there, the same way one would talk about buying a new car or other mundane aspects of day-to-day life. And it also goes out to anyone who has ever heard Crohn's disease compared to having the common-day flu. After spending a lot of the past 5 years in the hospital, having 3 surgeries, one of which was to take out my entire large intestine, getting pancreatitis from the medications they gave me, having 2 feeding tubes, and constantly being exhausted from nights when I should be sleeping, but instead I'm spending hours crying and praying, trying to cope with the pain and discomfort of Crohn's disease. I think that's enough to justify this disease as serious and not like the flu. And she put "not like the flu" in caps. Anyone who knows me knows that I am not and have never been a miserable person. I love life. I love to laugh. I strive to do my best, even though circumstances make it hard sometimes. But some things test my even-keeled temperament, like the way people act like Crohn's is just a spell of diarrhea or sort of like the flu, right? People are relentless in asking uneducated and embarrassing questions to those of us with this disease and other chronic illnesses. Why? I am fine and free to talk about my disease, and I try to be there for those in my same situation. But it is the people who don't have Crohn's disease or other chronic illnesses who don't understand it, who have been the most difficult to deal with. I don't want to spend my whole life explaining my chronic illness and Crohn's disease, but people need to know the facts, otherwise this will never stop. Asking me if it's contagious when you first meet me is one of the most insulting things that I can think of. Would you ask someone with cancer if it was contagious? No, you wouldn't. You would respect their privacy. Why is Crohn's disease and some other chronic illnesses not held in that same respectful, precious regard as cancer? I deal with my day-to-day life the best that I can. I try to be happy. I try to live past the circumstances. I don't sit around asking, why, God? Why is this happening to me? Because I just want to move forward. All I know is that it is happening and that I am going to live anyway with missing body parts and all. But people, please get informed. Learn the etiquette of talking to someone with a chronic illness. Don't ask them questions that you wouldn't want to be asked of you. Don't talk down to them. Don't bring up intimate details of their life in front of a large group of people. Don't put them on the defensive of having to explain why, despite looking good, they still have to explain to you what's wrong with them and why it's so severe or why it's so disabling. Please don't spout off details about magic diets that will cure their disease or act like you know something about the disease that you do not. I mean, let's face it, with respect to Crohn's disease, even doctors don't know some of the answers. Jen then closes her email with, in the words of a dear friend, we are not those 3 a.m. leper-type labeled people on those late-night cable TV commercials shown inconveniently crawling to the bathroom clutching our stomachs. So please be more considerate, because even if they took out parts of our intestines, our feelings remain perfectly intact.